What is your name?
Jared Hardy.
And when did you last sing?
Ooh, last thing. Probably 2 days ago on a walk.
What do you feel grateful for?
Life, man. I'm grateful for life.
If you were to wake up tomorrow with a new skill or ability, what would it be?
I would want to be able to help people see what they can be if they just choose to believe in themselves.
And in 3 words, what does being sober mean to you?
Quality life.
If you could find out one truth about yourself or the world or the future, what would it be?
Oh, man, that's a trick question. I'd probably want to find out how my life ends to make sure I'm on the right track.
What, if anything, is too serious to be joked about?
What if anything is too serious to be joked about? Man, I'm pretty open on joking. I would say regrets. I guess you shouldn't joke about the regrets people leave behind.
Yeah, yeah. And what have you dreamed of doing for a long time?
Dreamed of doing for a long time. Right now, I'm training for an ultra run, so that's been a dream of mine to check off my bucket list. And then, so that's kind of consumed most of my thoughts.
And are you a fan of IKEA?
I love that question on your show. I'm not, because my wife and I live in a very small place, and IKEA would just fill it up for me.
In the unlikely event that you ever come across some flat pack furniture, what would be your approach to building it? Would you get a friend to help? Would you read the instructions? Would you get stuck in? Would you lay it all out, have a look at the picture, think about it? How would you approach it?
I'd have to read instructions. My wife is meticulous on making me read the instructions first. She does not like my freelance approach.
That is a fantastic answer. So I've stuck all of your answers into our proprietary algorithm, Bjorn, and he has decided that you are the brain. You are the thinking sober person. Does that sound about right? Has he hit the nail on the head there?
Hey, I'm not the algorithm. They got to be right.
Perfect. So as Bjorn has to be right, I am just going to hand over to him now, and he's going to introduce us.
Do you get discouraged when the gurus recommend things that just don't work for you? That's why you need to know your sober style. Understanding how you approach alcohol-free living will help you make the most of what you hear, including the Flat Pack Sober. Learning how you solve problems won't just increase your self-awareness. It'll make cutting through all the recovery information much easier. And that'll make your alcohol-free life solid, like some well-built furniture. Take the Sober Style quiz for free at flatpacksober.com. Welcome to Flat Pack Sober, the wonderful AF, with your host Duncan Baskaran Brown.
Hey there, sober superstars. Welcome to Flatpack Sober, your catalogue of tips, tricks, and tactics to design your sober life. So I'm joined today by Jared Hardy, all-round good guy, host of the On Purpose podcast, and a guy with a very interesting story, I think. So let's get into that. Jared, hello. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here, and I'm looking forward to this conversation.
Fantastic, fantastic. So alcohol. Where did you get started with that then? How did that happen?
Alcohol, probably my second year in college, I experimented with it, and then I served in the military, so that's kind of a cultural thing there. Was probably where I was the heaviest drinker.
Cool, cool. And I mean, that's certainly something that I've come across in the British forces and to an extent in the American forces. There is a kind of a lot of drinking goes on.
Yeah, it's a lot of young people, a lot of testosterone, some downtime, and they fill it usually, or a lot of times, with not the best habits, and that's one of them.
Okay, so how did it progress from there? Did it get worse?
No, I don't have a huge alcohol story. I mean, I had alcoholism in the family, and I grew up around it, so I knew the tumultuousness that brought to it and the uncertainty. So that's always kind of steered me away from it. So I would say at the worst, I was a moderate drinker, but what I realized is even moderately drinking brought me inconsistency, right? Like if my kids came to me, they might not get the exact response they thought they should get or that I would hope to get. And I just got to a point where I realized that life is short and there's too many moments I wanted to remember and not enough days I didn't wish to forget, and that kind of just brought me here and I just love it.
Yeah, do you know? I think that's one one of the big things that I, I think we tend to talk to not exclusively, not on this podcast anyway, but we do tend to talk to people who have drunk a fair amount, come out the other side. But actually, I think we underestimate the impact of moderate drinking, and even at what would probably be considered normal or maybe even low levels for some of the places you found yourself, like college and the military, even then you were feeling the impact of it.
Yeah, I just didn't. What would always shock me is when I'd go in for my medical physicals and the doctor would ask you, like, do you drink alcohol? And you're like, yeah, I drink alcohol. Or like, okay, how many drinks a week? And you're like, maybe one on a weekend or two. And, they looked at you like you had to be lying, like nobody drinks like that. But what I found is it doesn't matter how much you drink, alcohol changes the baseline at the moment, right? So even if it's rare time for me, but I'm drinking to the point of making different decisions, well, I still have to live with those decisions. And one thing I really strive for is consistency. Like you should be able to come to me and know consistently how I'm showing up. And I should know how I'm consistently going to show up for myself. And even just a few drinks a week, which, would be moderate, I felt like wasn't in my best interest anymore and wasn't in the best interest of the people that I got blessed to be around.
Yeah. So, partly it was for yourself. You feel better when you don't drink, I guess.
Yeah, I really try to push my body, so that's a thing. But then my wife was a typical American mother, right? Like we would do stuff with the kids all day, we'd work, and then she'd come home and have a glass or two of wine every night to unwind. And it was just what everybody did. And she realized one day that, that glass or two could easily be a bottle, and she didn't want to do it anymore. So when she decided to change, I was like, well, I'm in too. Let's do it together. It's better for our budget. We're doing something together, and it's helped our relationship with our kids.
Oh, nice. Okay, so that was sort of you're feeling better, but part of it definitely was about supporting your wife and well, yeah, going along the change with her.
Yeah, I think sometimes we get caught up in this comparison, and I loved it. I saw your hankering video, and that really hit home, right? Is like, well, I don't have a problem because I'm not this expectation, or I'm not doing this, so I don't have a problem. But I think if we stop and we look at our lives, is alcohol serving us in the best interest? Are there still, even if it's once a month, moments you regret? Well, you add that up over the course of a year, that's a lot of time. The course of a lifetime is even more. And if it's not doing anything good for me, it's not helping me reach my goals, it's not making my relationships better, why am I partaking?
Yeah, and I know what you mean about the sort of the time adding up. I mean, I was chatting to a guy a little while back, and he said, "Oh, I'd only drink on the weekends. I didn't think it was taking up an awful lot of time." But then I realised, it was 4, 6 hours on a Friday, same again on a Saturday, maybe a few hours on a Sunday. It was sort of like 12, 15 hours a week, which is, of course, a part-time job.
Yeah, and that's just the actual consuming, right? What about the hangover time?
Yeah,
or,
yeah.
or days you're not doing what you really want to do because you don't feel good and you're just hoping this day gets over so you can feel better tomorrow. And I don't like that. That drives me nuts if I know I'm wasting a day because of a choice I made.
Yeah, so I mean, I get the impression that you've always been fairly physically active. So have you always been kind of quite aware of your body and therefore maybe more aware than most of the impact of alcohol?
Yeah, I would say so. And like I said, I grew up in a house where alcohol was prevalent, and it brought a lot of uncertainty to us. What moods were people going to be in? What decisions would they make? How would that impact the rest of us? And I really tried hard not to bring that to my family. And while I'm not perfect, I like you said, I've been hypersensitive to what am I doing and how is this impacting others?
Yeah, and I think that's so important. I mean, I get that all of the time with people that I work with. They grew up in a particular household, and certain things were normal, smoking, drinking, those kind of things. And, they started doing that. And now, they're thinking about their own family and they don't want that for their children. So they realize they've got to make a bit of a change because otherwise it just becomes a cycle and you just end up repeating it. And then your kids repeat it and then you just feel awful about it.
Yeah, right. We call that generational healing, right? Like I don't want to burden my kids with the same problems I had. They're going to have their own problems, but they should be theirs and not stuff I've passed on to them because I was afraid to address it or even look at it. And that's just something that's always driven home to me is taking inventory of myself. Like what am I doing well? Where do I need to improve? How is either impacting those around me? And am I happy with that story? And if I'm not, what can I do to change it?
Yeah, so that's a lot of self-awareness stuff, I'm guessing. So for you, part of the decision not to drink comes from, your self-awareness.
Yeah, and I know, right? Like it's not like I don't know. I'm not young and experimenting anymore. I'm mature in life. I've had successes, I've had failures, and I can look for patterns. And usually the patterns will tell you what behaviors you should be doing and what you shouldn't. And when I look at alcohol and I see like the things I wouldn't do again that I'm not super proud of, why put myself in those positions again, right? We got to be learning. And I think that goes to really shaking some of the labels we give ourselves in life, right? Like we get labeled as in at work, we get a job title label, we get a label in relationships, we get a label on our activities. And sometimes those pigeonholes us into places where we can't change behavior or we don't feel empowered to change behavior, right? Just because I drank with my friends in the military and I drank when I was younger doesn't mean I have to continue. I'm allowed to change and rewrite the story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know. I make you absolutely right about that. That's one of the problems I see all of the time. People do, they're like, they did it a lot when they were a kid, in certain situations, and then they start to think that's who they are. They start to think that they are a drinker, therefore they have to continue to drink because it's who they are. Um, but I find that kind of that level of self-awareness very interesting because for me it was totally the other way around. I had zero self-awareness and then I stopped drinking. And then that kind of like it all kind of came out of there. But I ventures to suggest you might have done it the right way round.
I don't know if it's the right way, but it's my way. And I think what you're talking about there is super important, right? Like when we make a step like that, when you're gonna make a change, you've got to put yourself in a position where that change is now the new normal, right? So like if I decided I was gonna quit drinking, but I wanted to hang out with all the same people at the same spots where they're always drinking, well, it's hard for me to identify this new way and not feel as an outcast. It doesn't mean they still can't be my friends, but now maybe they're going to come on a hike with me or a run with me. They're going to, or if they want to stay there, maybe we grow a little bit in that relationship. Not a lot of my new circle is reinforcing my new behaviors.
Yeah, yeah. So somebody on here a while back said, well, sometimes Duncan, you've just got to curate your friends, which I think is a nice sort of euphemistic way of putting it. But yeah, look, I mean, if you're just going to go back to doing the same old, nothing is going to change, is it? But I do like the idea of, your friends changing with you. And ultimately, yeah, a lot of the time, we get a little bit older, certain things happen to us. I'm desperately trying not to say we grow up, but, you know, our friends tend to be having the same sort of experiences. So often, you can kind of reinforce that change in other people, can't you?
Well, and it becomes contagious, right? Duncan, like your friends see you make a change and they notice, wow, you have more energy. You're looking better. You're doing these new challenges. You're not just settling for what is there. You're creating something new and they want to do it, right? And that's one of the things I love about life is when you give yourself permission to dream, to change, to recreate, a lot of times other people give themselves permission by watching you.
Yep. Do you know what? You didn't just say that. I think you're embodying it. Like the optimism is oozing off you, my friend. You're making me want to go for a run. So let's talk about purpose because I mean, obviously, you called your podcast the On Purpose podcast. How did that come about?
I was my wife, man. So when I was So a lot of what we're talking about, I was a police officer for 21 years, and um, I saw the toll that career took on people that stayed an extended time. So at 21 years, I was really young to walk away, but I walked away to go do other stuff because I wanted to create a different life. And doing so, some of the people I was leaving behind in the agency asked if I could start a podcast because I had done a lot of speaking and a lot of training for the department, and they wanted to be able to still continue to interact with me. So I was like, well, shoot, it seems like a lot of people have podcasts. Let me give this a try. And my wife came up with the title because we don't do a whole lot in life on accident. We're very purposeful, and we kind of lay out plans and see where it's going to go. And 6 years later and 300 and some episodes, it's going strong.
Wow, 300 and some. That's quite a lot, isn't it?
Seems to be.
So, I mean, yeah, I guess you must have met some very interesting people doing that.
Yeah, the whole goal of it is to just make sure we realize all the people around us are extraordinary, right? Because I wrote a book called Extraordinary People in Ordinary Places, and it was just that, like the extraordinary people that are around us every day, but we don't notice them because we're looking at politicians or athletes and celebrities. And the truth is, the people that impact my day are just like you, Duncan. They're people that we meet and we just don't pay attention to. So the whole goal of the On Purpose podcast was to bring stories from people around the world to light so that we can learn from them, we can share with them, and realize there's so much greatness around us if we just pay attention.
Yeah, yeah, no, I think you're 100% right, and it's one of the things that I wanted to sort of do with this podcast was kind of point out that everybody's got something valuable to say about the journey to sobriety. And I've not proved myself wrong. I've interviewed 60 odd people, and they've all had a different take on it, but it's always been relevant and it's always been useful. And I mean, you scratch the surface, and there are so many stories going on, aren't there?
There is, and that's one of the beautiful things about life is people can learn from the stories of others if only we tell the story, right? And that's what I want to empower people to do is see the value in their story. I don't need to compare my journey to yours, Duncan, and say like, well, Duncan's journey was so much more dramatic. I won't share mine so he has the space. No, because there's somebody out there that's just like me that maybe had a drink or two a week, but just didn't like the effects, and maybe they change because they hear this story, right? And everybody's story has the impact to change other people, but we got to share them.
Yeah, yeah, and honestly, I'd love to talk more to those people who are only drinking a couple a week because, for some of them it's holding them back, and for some of them it's going to get worse, and it's always easier to deal with something before it does get worse. So, let's talk to those kind of grey area drinkers. I always think that that's a very interesting place to get to. So,
Well, wouldn't you say
yeah,
that's where most of people are, Duncan? Like we have the extremes, right? We have the extremes where they don't consume alcohol at all. It's the devil. Then we have the other extreme that we think of, and that's impacted every aspect of their life. They can't hold a job, right? Those are extremes, but the vast majority are in the middle. We consume enough, it impacts behavior. We consume enough, maybe we don't feel good a day or two a month, but can we fix that, right? Should we look at that?
yeah, no, absolutely. I personally, I think that's where it's at. It's when when I talk to businesses in particular, and organizations, it's like you sort of think of the impact being the very heavy drinkers, and that is a big impact. But actually, it's the people that aren't doing too much that are having a small impact, but there's a lot of them. So you add up all of those small impacts, and it's actually a much bigger hill.
Well, let me ask you this, right? It's a small impact on that scale, but let's take a 5-year-old kid. A 5-year-old kid who on Sunday only wants dad or mom to take him to the park and play ball. But either one of them can't go because they're hungover from the night before. And that's the only night they drink. That's the only night they drink all month. But that Sunday, their kid wanted to go play ball. They can't play. What's the impact?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing with kids, isn't it? Every moment means so much because for them, life has been pretty short. There haven't been that many Sundays. By
Yeah.
the time you get to our age, it feels like there's been an awful lot of them. But when you're five, everyone's a new one, isn't it?
Right. I think that's the good thing about aging, Duncan, is we get a perspective that, man, we are gonna run out of time and we don't have every day to take for granted. And one of the things if I could do something differently, one of the things I'd do differently is with my kids, I'd have kept a scorecard somewhere that said I only get 18 Christmases, 18 summers, 18, so that I didn't do just what you said and be like, oh, well, there's another one. Don't worry about it. Well, because you only got it 18 times and then they're no longer your kids, right? They're moving on. And I just don't want that. And that's one of the fundamental reasons for a lot of what I do in life is I don't know when this journey ends, but I want to make sure I'm getting the most out of it so that when it comes time, I'm not leaving a lot on the table.
Yeah, yeah. So I think you're absolutely right. We're actually recording this at the start of the summer. It's not going to go out for a few months, but it's the summer holidays. My daughter's 9. At the moment, she has 6 weeks where she doesn't really do anything. Well, in a few years' time, it's going to start getting filled up with things like scouting trips and stuff like that. So the amount of time that she's going to want to spend with me is going to go down. So at the moment, I want to make as much of it as I possibly can, and I have pretty much. I just finished the sort of draft 4 of my latest book, and yeah, I sent it off today and got it cleared out. So between now and the end of August, that's just over a month, isn't it? I got pretty much nothing on. So yeah, you got to make the most of these things, haven't you? Because you're right. It's not even 18 summer holidays, because by the time she's 18, she's going to be wanting to go off to Ibiza with her friends, and I'm going to be sat at home going, "Oh my God."
Yeah, no, you're right. And I think the benefit we have of being this generation and the generation coming behind us is we've seen now 2 generations of alcohol use, right? Like for me, at least, our grandparents and then our parents, and we see where it ends up for a lot of them. And it's called evolution, right? When you start changing behavior so that you change the species. And I don't know, your daughter's young, but like my kids don't drink near as much in their early 20s, mid 20s as we did a generation ago, because I think they've seen and they're learning. And I just don't know that that's not a bad thing, right? That is a good thing that we're studying it. And I'm not saying alcohol can have a place in people's lives anywhere, but I think we can all see those that have overdone it and the impact it had on others around them.
Yeah, and one of the big advantages I think that young people have now is you get when we got drunk and fell over and were idiots, every people laughed and they forgot about it. Sometimes they forgot about it by the next day, didn't they? But now, of course, it's somebody's going to video it. It's going to end up on Instagram and it's going to stay with you. I mean, whether it really does stay with you for the rest of your life, I don't know, but it's going to hang around a bit more. And I think young people are a bit more aware of that. And if that is a bit of a deterrent, then it's probably a good thing, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I think you're right on that. And when we see outcomes we don't desire, let's change the inputs to create something different.
Yeah, and I mean, certainly, I think things have got a bit tougher for young people these days. Certainly in this country, it's no longer particularly cheap to get an education. If you want to go to university here, you're going to come out with debt. I know America, you can rack up quite a big bill going to college, can't you? And if you're going to pay for it, well, you might as well get something out of it. It's like you can't just treat it like a 3-year holiday anymore, can you?
No, I think that culture's changed. I think, the cost of it and what do I want, right? I think kids today are a little more in tune to what do I really want in life. Whereas, in my generation, you kind of were told like you graduate, you go to college, you get a job, you get to buy a house, you put up a fence, you buy a lot of shit. And we see that's not super fulfilling for a lot of people. So I love that the kids now are challenging things the same way. Do I have to go to university or can I just go get a trade? Can I go do this and have a better quality of life? Maybe I don't buy as many things, but I enjoy what I have.
Yeah. It's all about the fence. Do you have a great fence? I'm intrigued now.
No, I don't have any fence, dude. I sold all my stuff my wife and I sold our homes in 2021 and we just travel around the United States and Mexico with our Airstream.
Nice, nice.
Yeah, so
Where are you at the moment then?
I am in the Black Hills of Wyoming.
Ooh.
So it'd be so some landscapes you'd be familiar with is like Mount Rushmore is nearby, and Sturgis Motorcycle Rally is not too far from us. So no fence for me, man.
Don't fence me in.
No, I don't want to be fenced in, and I don't want to keep everybody out. I want people coming over so I could talk to them.
Yeah, and I do like the Black Hills of Wyoming. Never heard of them before, but it sounds romantic, my friend. Anyway, we got to let Bjorn get a word in edgeways because he's got something else to say. So we'll be back right after this.
Don't forget to check out flatpacksober.com. It's like the lingoberry jam for your meatballs. It's packed with tips, tricks and tactics to help you design your alcohol-free life. You'll get sneak peeks, exclusive content, great offers and even merch. Experience the wonderful AF. Visit flatpacksober.com.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm joined by Jared Hardy today. We're having a fantastic little conversation. We've been talking a lot about purpose and, you know, what people want from life. So we've been talking about you moving around a little bit, but what do you want from life? What's the purpose for you over the next few weeks, months, years?
Now, if it's the next couple of weeks, I'm training for my first ultra run. I'm going to do a 30-mile race here in the Black Hills of South Dakota, just across the border. And I'm sharing it with my son. So it's going to be a good time to get out there, challenge ourselves, and create a memory together.
Wow. And how far are you running?
30 miles, so 50 kilometers.
Okay, yeah, that's quite a long way. And you mentioned hills, so you're 30 miles in the hills.
Yeah, it's a trail run, so we're not on the road, so we're out on trails in the mountains.
Oh, okay. So you decided to start with something easy. I like that. Have you ever done a marathon or?
No, I'm skipping all, dude. I'm just like, why? Like they have this ultra thing. Why would I go lesser? If I'm gonna challenge myself, let's go for this. And then my goal is do this, do well, and then by next summer, do some 100-milers.
Yeah, no, I've noticed that of late. It's like it used to be quite hardcore to run a marathon, not anymore. No, nobody's impressed. It's got to be 100-miler. So
I don't know.
what does your training look like? What have you been up to with that?
Lots of running on the trails, lots of hiking in nature. And one of the things that drew me to it, Duncan, was we get comfortable in life, right? Like we achieve certain things, we get a certain financial status, we just get comfortable and life's fairly easy. And when I started running, because I didn't run much till this year, it makes me want to quit all the time. And it makes me challenge myself. Like you think you're good, you think you're living with purpose or moving forward, but will you quit right now or will you continue on? And I love having those conversations with my inner dialogue and moving forward, right? And there's that saying that, you can never quit. And I'm like, you can always quit. Right? Like, or the saying is quitting's not an option. And I'm like, that's a falsehood, right? Quitting's always an option. As soon as you quit, the pain goes away. But will you quit? That's the challenge.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get that when I'm running loops. It's like I'm quite close to home. I can just go home and sit down now. There is the only person that forces me to keep going is me. And there is something kind of honest and challenging about that. No, it's great.
And I love that term, honesty, because I think too many times in life, Duncan, we get to a place where we're most dishonest with ourselves. We're dishonest about, are we living up to our potential? Are we challenging ourselves? Are we leaving stuff in the tank that we can't get back? Are we pursuing our dreams? Like we go to bed every night, we dream of writing this book, but we don't put any work to it, right? We're being dishonest with ourselves. We're not doing the thing that we should do. And I love challenging myself, and I love putting myself in places where either I'm going to live up to what I believe or I'm going to find out something's not for me. But either way, I'm going to learn from it.
Yeah. And look, I mean, having just got to a big point with my latest book, it has been like, oh, I've got to do it because I've got a deadline. And it's like, well, yeah, who put that deadline up? And it's totally you. It's like you made it up. It's like I could just go and sit down. I don't have to think about commas. I could stop thinking about commas for a little bit, but you gotta kind of challenge yourself. So running a couple of weeks. So good luck with that.
Thank you.
Beyond that, what's the next challenge? What else is keeping you on track?
Just living, man. Just traveling a lot and meeting new people and trying to continue to put out, content through the podcast and through our courses that gets people to challenge the status quo and to live inspired and to recognize that like we all have stories, we all have gifts, and they're of no use to anybody if we don't share them. And I just really enjoy it, man. I enjoy meeting people all around the world.
Yeah, yeah. I think people are great. Generally, they're pretty all right. And I guess you're doing a lot of leadership training and stuff like that. So, that gives you kind of a real insight. People tend to kind of open up and share their problems with you. So, does that give you kind of even more of a glimpse into people's lives?
Yeah, I think it's, you got to build trust with them, right? Because we're such a distrusting society right now. We look at everything through a filter, a lens of like, are they real or not? And you can Google and fact check everything. So I think you build trust. And then once you're in there and once you get their trust, I think almost all humans are the same, right? We just want to know what we do matters to somebody, right? We want to know that whatever I put my energy into today, somebody appreciates my effort. And so that's a lot of the message in leadership is let's appreciate the efforts. Let's appreciate the people around us. We can fix errors. We can do new tasks. But remember, every person you interact with is living their life story. And you're a character in that story because you cross paths. What kind of character are you going to be, right? And I take that very seriously. Like, I want to be somebody that Duncan's like, man, I remember this chapter in my book, this Jared guy came around. He was pretty cool. Like, that was a good little chapter. I don't want to end up as the antagonist that never believed in you and caused you to have self-doubt and belittled you. And I think if we thought like that more, Duncan, if we thought like, wait a second, I'm about to interact with this person and they're writing their life story, who am I? We might treat each other a little more gracefully, a little kinder, a little softer than we do.
Well, I make you absolutely right, and don't worry, you are definitely coming across as a very very cool, very positive character, sort of like kind of Gandalf, but without the horse because you're running. I don't think I really thought that through, but anyway, you're doing all right from that point of view. But I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think appreciating what people do, it's such an underappreciated thing, isn't it? I mean, it costs nothing. It is incredibly easy to do, but people seem to kind of miss that point.
It costs you nothing. It's actually cost you more energy to be mean to people, right? Because now it's impacting you, right? It takes nothing to smile at the barista or the waiter or to ask how their day is going, the clerk at the grocery store. All the people you interact with today that you take for granted, a lot of times you don't even recognize they're there because you're just going through the motions. What if we appreciate them? What if you become that person when they see you come in the store, they're like, oh, I love seeing Duncan come in here. He's always so upbeat and he asks me how I'm doing. I bet you're going to get better produce. They're going to bring out the fresh oranges for you. You know what I mean? Because you're letting people know what they do matters, what they do is important, and that you see them, right? And I think that's all we want in today's society where, what's that saying? We're more connected than ever, but we're also lonelier than ever, right? We have more friends online than we've ever had, but we have fewer friends in real life. Let's change that a little bit.
Yeah. I honestly, that's one of the things that I do really try and kind of emphasize to people. We think of connection maybe being quite a big thing and like big relationships and kind of, stuff you put time in, and that is a part of it. But, connection can just be saying hello to the person that made you that coffee, talking to the person you sat down next to you on the bus or on the train, and it's those little things, and they do often make you smile. I mean, occasionally they even have quite, significant impact. So, I mean, I remember a guy I know, Carl. I first met him because he was working in the shop just around the corner from me. And it was his first day and he couldn't use the till and he was getting a bit flustered and he was apologizing to me about it. And I was just like, don't worry about it. It's like, we've all got to learn, haven't we? Like nobody was born knowing how to use one of these tills. It's absolutely fine. Don't worry. long story short, that was about 15 years ago, and we're fairly good friends. We've collaborated on a few things now. He's really built his music career since then, and it all started from that one little thing. And I didn't know. No, I could never have known who he'd become, this guy.
Yeah, no, and that's the thing is we don't do it because we want a reward. We don't do it because we're expecting something. We just do it because it's the right thing to do for other humans, right? To let another human being know that you appreciate whatever they just did. It's a small thing. It costs no money, requires no additional talent than what you already have. It just requires an awareness and a desire to care, period.
On that note, thank you very much for joining us. I really do appreciate that conversation. It's been fantastic. Obviously, I'm not actually going to let you go, though, because I've got to ask you at least one more IKEA-related question, and that is the famous meatballs. Have you ever had the IKEA meatballs?
No, and I'll be honest. I listened to your episode recently where the guy actually was the IKEA meatball maker and microwaved them or put them in the oven. I gotta be honest with you, Duncan, as somebody that takes care of my body and I really try to push fitness, those never once appealed to me to be inside of me.
No. Okay. So you're basically agreeing with me that the only reason anybody ever eats the meatballs is not because they're a positive nutritional delight. They just eat them because they're at IKEA. So, which is, of course, the segue into the question of what is it that people should do, but they don't really want to do?
What they should do, but they don't really want to do. I think what we should do is take a brief minute every morning and have an honest conversation with ourselves in the mirror and take inventory of, okay, what am I supposed to do today and what will I do today? So that every night when we go to bed, we've fulfilled our mission for that day. We've lived up to who we want to be. And that would be it for me.
Yeah. No, I do always try and kind of think about the day and, decide whether or not I've had a good day, whether I've done anything that's, meaningful. And do you know what? I'm going to think about you tonight just before I go to bed. I'm going to think that was a meaningful way to spend my time.
Well, I appreciate it, Duncan. I've loved our conversation, but I'm always going to encourage you, set the bar far higher than me, my friend.
Well, I'll give it a go. But thank you for coming along and being honest and so positive and being a great example for us. Where can people find out a bit more about what you do?
If you're into the podcast, we're on all the major podcast apps and YouTube, the On Purpose Podcast. We're on Instagram at the same handle and LinkedIn for all podcast stuff. And then my personal stuff is on Instagram and LinkedIn as Jared Hardy. So I'd love to have you connect in our community, follow along on the journey, and let us know how we can support you all.
Oh, fantastic. We will stick all of that in the show notes. But look, thank you so much for coming along today.
Duncan, thanks for having me, my friend. You're a great host.
We're out of time, but for some reason, we still have a few screws left over. If you enjoyed the show, we'd really appreciate a 5-star rating on your favorite podcast platform. Help us spread the Flatpack love. Until next time, enjoy the wonderful AF.
I hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did bringing it to you. If you love what you're hearing and want to stay updated, join the Flatpack Sober community on Facebook. Don't forget to click the subscribe button.